I want to pick up a comment made by Russell Owen, who I think it's not really somebody called Russell Owen. And it's a response to my video about President Putin's new threats from Kazakhstan. Russell says, firstly, President Putin made no threats. Not only that he was reiterating warnings given repeatedly that NATO powers would be targeted if they persisted in their attacks on Russian territory. Secondly, these warnings were not new. When the Oreshnik missile was employed, he actually gave advance notice so that the target munitions factory could be evacuated, thus minimizing casualties. As an educated man, you should be ashamed to be acting as a mouthpiece for the US propaganda narrative. Those behind Biden are determined to escalate in the hope of starting World War III before Trump takes over. If they fail, they will revert to Plan A and kill Trump. Remember, they killed JFK when he tried to pull out of the Vietnam War. Well, I won't go into JFK's motives or indeed the reasons for his assassination, nor indeed will I pursue any sort of conspiracy theory on Thanksgiving Day. I'm more than happy to go into that on another occasion. But I will talk, if you don't mind, about this spurious idea that Putin gave warnings so that the munitions factory could be evacuated. First of all, there is no evidence at all that this was a munitions factory, and if it had been, I think it's very unlikely that we would have seen footage of the fire, because Ukraine would have tried to hush that up. There are munitions factories. They're quite small as far as I know. I've spoken to people who have been to them. If Putin gave advanced warning so that nobody would be, casualties would be minimized, then I don't know how you explain the casualties that took place. There are at least 2 that we know about. There may be more. In addition, people who witnessed the bombing talked about the fires that went on for hours afterwards and the damage to nearby shops and apartments and so on. This was in a city centre. It was in a populated area. It was civilian. The idea that Putin is so grand and so caring that he lets people know about his evil plans is complete poppycock. This may be what he's telling the whole of Siberia. It may be what he's telling Kazakhstan. It simply isn't true, and it's demonstrated by the people targeting civilians in places like Kherson. This was recorded by Caelan Robertson. It was then recorded by the BBC and other media outlets who followed in Caelan's footsteps and recorded the same information. It is demonstrable that Russian troops are pursuing civilians as they go about their ordinary day shopping in the market, moving around in little vans or cars. This is a blitz on civilians, and now we see plenty of evidence of Putin, I use the term very loosely, of Putin attacking civilian structures like heating and electricity as winter edges in. And on the television channels, his anchors, again, maybe I've not pronounced the word correctly, his news anchors talk with glee about winter being one of the weapons of Russia. Now, let's have a look very carefully at this idea, because the vague warning about a bomb is not care, it's not a warning, it's a threat. And I would have called it terrorism. And I'm old enough to remember, for example, the Aldershot Barracks bombing in 1972, when a car bomb exploded at the headquarters of the Parachute Regiment in Aldershot, killing 7 people, 5 female staff, a gardener and a Catholic priest. This is by the IRA, this Catholic organization, the official IRA, issued a warning prior to the attack claiming responsibility. And the target was chosen as a retaliation for Bloody Sunday. 1996, the Canary Wharf bombing, a large bomb with a truck detonated in the Docklands, killing 2 people, injuring over 100. And while a 90-minute warning was given to the police, it was too vague to be precise. It was too vague to ensure that the area was fully evacuated. It signalled the end of a 17-month ceasefire. This is one reason why I don't believe in ceasefires without a credible peace plan. 1993, the Bishopsgate bombing in April. A massive truck bomb detonated in London's financial district, killing 1 person, injuring 40. The blast caused extensive damage to the area, and a warning was issued about an hour before the explosion, but again it was vague, and again the IRA was behind it. 1996, the Manchester bombing. A 1,500 kilogram bomb detonated in Manchester city centre, causing massive destruction. Thankfully no fatalities because of the evacuation efforts, but a warning was given for the evacuation of 75,000 people. The IRA claimed responsibility. No, that's about terrorism. It's about the way that warnings could be given to stop people doing their ordinary things, whether there's a bomb or not a bomb. If it's not a bomb, you call it a bomb hoax. If it is a bomb, you hope that you've been successfully evacuated. But there were plenty of bombs without warnings. The Brighton Hotel bomb, 1984. The time bomb detonated in the Grand Hotel in Brighton during the Conservative Party conference, and it killed 5 people, it injured 31. It almost killed Mrs. Thatcher. The Provisional IRA targeted the Prime Minister and her cabinet. Patrick Magee was later convicted of the bombing. 1974, the Birmingham pub bombings. No warning. The Mulberry Push and the tavern in the town, killing 21 people, injuring 182. And there was a warning, actually. The warning was vague and issued to a Birmingham newspaper. It didn't specify the targets, leading to insufficient evacuation. A vague warning isn't care. It isn't consideration. It's terror. The Enniskillen bombing, November the 8th, 1987, where a bomb exploded during a Remembrance Day ceremony in Enniskillen, killing 11 people, injuring 63. No warning. And the Omar bombing, 1998, in August. The car bomb in Omar, killing 29 people, injuring over 200 people. A warning, again, was issued, but it was misleading, directing the police to the wrong location. This wasn't the Provisional IRA, this was the real IRA. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. The warning given by people like Putin, or the IRA, the Provisional IRA, or the real IRA, or whatever splinter group you want to belong to, is the warning given by, or PPK, is a warning given by cowards and terrorists. It is calculated to alarm, is not calculated to care. And so, by all means, do leave your comments. I'm delighted if people leave comments. But don't assume that if you leave a comment which merits a response, I'm going to quietly ignore it. I will give you a thumbs up. I will give you a heart because you've taken the effort to write. In this case, I presume that Russian is Russell Owen's first language, and your English is remarkable. So congratulations on that. But this is very. It's a very upside down world where you're pointing the finger at me and saying that I'm doing something to do with America. I'm not. I don't belong to America. I am defiantly British. I'm not even English. My background is entirely Celtic, or Eastern European, but there's nothing English about me. But I consider myself British, and I have enormous fondness for the Russian people and for the Ukrainian people. I have no fondness for President Putin, who I met once, or at least I met something who claimed to be Putin. I was terrified, and I know that wasn't the same person that I see now on the telly. So one of them is a doppelganger, and given the fact that there are reports of President Putin's death in October 2023, I said, yeah, I did a video yesterday and I said that it was 2022. I made a mistake because I was sort of talking enthusiastically, and sometimes you say the wrong thing when you're talking enthusiastically. But no, Putin is a terrorist, and the people who are suggesting that Biden is trying to start World War III are in cloud cuckoo land. I think now is the wrong time to have given Ukraine permission to fire its weapons. That should have happened long ago, and now may do more damage than good. But it's happened. You deal with the reality. And the fact is, Putin is now escalating the situation. He has brought in paramilitaries. They've all been killed or sent off to Africa. He has brought in mercenaries. And yet he talks about mercenaries in Ukraine. Extraordinary man. He feeds propaganda day and night to his people, and yet he accuses others of propaganda. His paramilitary troops were named after the favoured musician of Adolf Hitler. They were Nazi in all, I was going to say in all but name, they were Nazi in name as well, the Wagner Brigade. And yet the Wagner Brigade and their cronies painted the Ukrainian fighters, the Azov Brigade, as the Nazis. Of course, there are groups of odd people, as there are in every country. But the Wagner Brigade specifically went out of its way to injure, to kill, to attack. And to suggest that that they were the victims of this. What utter tosh. Utter tosh. This is an evil regime. And as I say, before people start accusing me of Russophobia, I'm not remotely. I still have very good friends in Russia. And I think it's outrageous. I think it's outrageous that anybody should suggest that I'm promoting some sort of US propaganda. I don't even know whether US propaganda exists in this format, but I'm definitely not promoting it. I'm offering my own observations about Putin, and those are based on my own experience and my own thoughts. And as for terrorism, as for giving advance warning, come on. This is absurd and utterly absurd. There's another one here called Slurpentis CEO, who tells me that I delete comments that don't favour Caleb Robertson. Robertson is a paid propagandist who works for the Democrats in Washington. He's paid to keep you thinking their profit from war is okay. Kalen definitely not Kalen is definitely not a US propagandist, and This, I suspect Slurpentis CEO and Russell Owen are the same person, but who am I supposed to say? Maybe not. But do recall, I spent a month very entertainingly locked in a flat identifying catfish. I think I have quite a good nose for that.